Let's talk about how to use open and closed communication, open or closed communication, or both, or a combination to supersize and grow your business. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. This is a little graphic that I use for open and closed mindset, which we're going to talk about when we talk about mental area and aspect of our life. But it's a great graphic to show the difference between open and closed communication. Let's talk about characteristics of each type of communication. Let's talk about when to use each type and why you might want to think about, like I say with mindset, it depends that based on the situation, we're going to choose which type of communication to use. When I joined corporate America back in the golden ages, or the dark ages, however you look at it, closed communication was the style of communication for most types of communication in our organization. Now, we were in the process of switching over to a team-based system, which was a huge endeavor. I went to work for Procter Gamble, my first job out of engineering school, and I ran a team. I ran a team that worked a Southern Swing shift rotation. If you know what that is, you know that in and of itself is a challenge. So to take people that are working this crazy schedule and get them to go from top-down leadership, top-down management, directions, being told what to do all the time, and expecting them to think for themselves and participate in the running of their department, their division, their piece of the toilet paper making factory process, which is actually where I started my first job in toilet paper manufacturing with Procter Gamble. Yes, Charmin and White Cloud. I still use them today. So what's the difference between open communication and closed communication? And when do we want to use each of the different types? Well, open communication is for a long time been my preferred way of communicating. If you know me at all, you know that I'm pretty much an open book. If you ask me, I will tell you the answer or my answer to just about any question you could possibly ask. It's about being transparent. Open communication is about active listening, which is something that I'm always continually trying to improve. It's about engagement and encouraging feedback. Hey, I said this, I want to know how it impacted you. Or I did this, how did it impact you all? Or what do you think of it? Was that a stupid thing to do? I'm not going to beat you up if you tell me, okay, this is how this impacted me, and this is why I don't think it was the best choice you could have made at the time. That's how we all learn. It's also non-judgmental, and it comes with hey, everybody gets to have an opinion. Everybody gets input, and then we all look at it and we figure out what is the best course of action. It is great for team leadership and team dynamics. It's great for employee engagement. If I want to engage my employees in a decision or in a process, I ask them, right? And I want them to be open and honest with how they feel and what they think about, say, a new software or a new program that we're going to use or a new process that we're going to use in the organization. I want their input for sure, especially if they're the ones that have to use it, right? I always snicker at companies that want to just put in all these things because a person at the C-suite went to a training. They thought it was an awesome idea. So now they want everyone in the organization to do it when they're not even doing it themselves, right? There's a lot of dysfunction in the world, right? So it also is great for innovation and creativity, for brainstorming. Have you ever tried to brainstorm in an organization that has a very closed communication style? It doesn't work very well. It's super painful. It's actually painful to try to do. It's like pulling teeth to get people to open up and to communicate in organizations like that. Closed communication, on the other hand, is what I was originally taught and what I originally used a lot in leadership roles. It's when it's top-down, need to know information that it's usually used in the guise of efficiency and effectiveness and security for when it's limited information that you want to share. When you want to control the amount of information that flows and is shared, you have a closed communication style. It's top-down approach. It's like, we're just giving you direction. We don't want your input. Please don't give us feedback. We don't want to know what you think about this. We just want you to do what we tell you to do. How good does that feel, right? Not very good. Doesn't even work on toddlers. Why would it work on adults that we're paying to do a job that we hired for their expertise? Kind of silly. It's also direct and decisive. This is what's going to happen. And sometimes they share why it's going to happen. A lot of the times not. excuse me, if you're a good leader and a good manager, you always think of the people that you're communicating to and share the why with them so that they can understand and adopt it, even if they don't agree with it. We use open or closed communication is appropriate in certain situations. It's appropriate in a crisis situation. You know, I've had to handle some safety emergency type things in my corporate career as well as in my personal life. When there's a crisis, when there's an accident, you need to go into, somebody needs to lead and go into decisive, direct mode. And as a leader, that's usually your job. But for crisis management, for confidentiality things, for legal or compliance issues, and this is one that I always used to butt heads with the USDA in my food manufacturing business because they always wanted to come in. They would do an audit, you know, every couple of years, they would do an overall facility audit. And they wanted to do and take pictures. And because of our proprietary processes, because of some certain equipment that we had created and actually created from, we took some piece of equipment and turned it into something else to give us a competitive advantage in terms of efficiency and effectiveness and quality for our company. And those were things that were copywritten, patented, and we were not going to allow anyone, much less the USDA, to come in and then publish those pictures for competitive companies to see or get access to. And believe me, when you're a little guy in a departmental agency, a governmental agency that's created and run by big companies in that division, in that industry, you know that you have to protect your competitive advantage and your confidentiality agreements and your things like that and your legal and compliance things. So for compliance, yeah, you can come in and you can take pictures of certain things, but there are also things that are going to be quarantined off, sheeted off, covered up, and you're not going to take pictures of them. I don't care how mad you get. I don't care how loud you get. I don't care what you say to me. It's not going to happen. So there are things like that that need to be kept secret. Military and emergency services, emergency situations, those have got to be run, and communication in those organizations has to be in a more closed communication style format, right? And why? Well, they're dealing with emergencies all the time, right? And emergencies and crisis and traumatic things have to be handled in a way that isn't, oh, everybody gets an opinion, right? Or that aren't open and authentic. And I'm going to say that I think we're going to see a lot more authenticity and openness in the way some of these things are done going forward, which is a definite breath of fresh air. So, curious, do you believe that you have a more open or closed communication style? Share in the comments below so we can learn from one another. I personally think I'm open, but people might argue with me that sometimes I'm very direct and I'm not open, but it's up to each of us. I contend, like anything else in leadership, management, coaching, skills, what you apply, how you apply it depends on the situation. And if you're not looking at situationally and the outcome that you want to achieve, you're going to get in trouble, because if you want to be one way or the other, my way or the highway, chances are you're not going to get as far as you want to in business and in life. All right, that's it. Have an awesome day. Hit me up with questions if you have any. Otherwise, I will be with you tomorrow for another communication topic to help us to supersize and grow our businesses. Have a great day.